We're
Well,
back.
we're back after a week off last week to kind of reset, recharge, and take care of some things, including a YouTube video of mine that's taken way too goddamn long to get out. I'm not talking about the college football playoffs. So, welcome back
And I'm back
to
after being on vacation.
of a stream that we call Sports Talk. Am I echoing? Hold on.
No, but you're freezing off and on. So,
Okay,
take
that
your
might
pick
be
on which
why.
is worse.
Yeah, I got webcam mic right here, and I got reduced background noise. I think it's just, yeah, I got echo cancellation on. Yeah, I think it's just, it started the stream and it kind of just was doing that. So thanks, Zep. I appreciate it, man. If there's any other shit, let me know. But yeah, welcome back. It's been it was kind of a quiet weekend, honestly, compared to some of the other weeks that we come onto the show and we discuss the absolute destruction that was the top 25 in college football. I mean, comparatively speaking, there wasn't a ton of noise on Saturday, which you'll get at least one of these kind of weekends, a sleepy Saturday in college football, where everything kind of happened the way it should. But we got a couple of things to go through today. But before I go further, we got our resident duck, Mr. Allen. How are you doing, sir?
Well,
It's good to hear. Now, as usual, tradition, time for a little self-reflection. And I'm going to start off by saying, we took way too goddamn long to win that game Saturday. Good Lord Almighty. Will Howard looked kind of rough out there at times. I'm not going to lie. He made a couple of key mistakes. Jeremiah Smith barely got any action at all. Really not the kind of game we wanted to have rebounding after that loss against you know who. So I mean, we got the win. It was an ugly win, and now we gotta go and deal with who this week. I completely forgot. Hold on, don't tell me. I'm pulling it up. Penn State.
dumbass.
We're fucked. We're going to be streaming the game live Saturday, so be here for that and watch me die inside if we lose. But Alan, how were the Mighty Ducks of Oregon this past Saturday?
Well, first of all, let me just remind you of the meme that I shared in on Discord. Ryan Day being 2-6 against top 5 teams. Jan Franklin being 1-9 against Ohio State. Stoppable force versus movable object. The Reddit college football Twitter account gets that one right.
Absolutely.
Good luck. You're gonna need it. We're number 1, and we didn't lose to Illinois. Thank God, because number 1's been
goddamn well against
cursed this year. Number 1 has been fucking cursed this year, but we got the job done. We actually dominated the 20th ranked Illini, 38-9. Currently speaking, they're the last ranked team that we have to play this year. Now, somebody later in the schedule could jump into the rankings. The only team that I think could do that is Michigan, and they're not going to. So we're good in that department. So we should we should be able to just smooth sail our way through. But this is Oregon. We have a propensity to play down a competition sometimes, but we'll see. We remain tied at the top of the Big Ten with undefeated Indiana, who we'll talk about later. We had touchdowns on 5 of our first 6 possessions, 35-3 lead at halftime, surpassing 400 yards before the end of the third. Dylan Gabriel moves up to second all-time in career touchdowns, passing touchdowns, and passing yards in the FBS. And then we put him on the bench midway through the fourth because we had a healthy lead. We weren't going to lose. He's now second behind Tim Tebow in terms of games with 2 passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown.
That's a name I haven't heard in a minute. Tim fucking Tebow. Good Lord.
Yeah. Yeah, with 22 games with two passing TDs and 1 rushing TD, where he's now behind Tebow for that. 5 different players scored TDs for us. Tez Johnson had 6 catches for 102 yards and a score. And Illinois, this sums it up. Illinois could not match our speed on offense or run through our defensive line. No. They couldn't get over 100 yards until midway through the third. They only got a touch. Their first touchdown was helped by an unnecessary roughness penalty on third down.
Yeah.
And we sacked me 3 times and he threw 2 interceptions, and fucking Noah Whittington just ran over a defender for a touchdown. Yeah, so we don't have another ranked game for probably the Big Ten championship game. We get Michigan next week. We get Michigan and then Wisconsin, which
Yep.
Wisconsin, we'll talk about them later.
Yeah.
And then 32-point win is our biggest win against a Big Ten opponent. At 8-0, it's tied for our best start to a season. Only 2012 and 2010 got off to better starts.
I don't know what happened there. Just saying.
Huh?
I know damn well what happened those seasons. Just saying.
Fuck you. And Illinois is now 2-13 against AP number 1 teams.
I'm thoroughly impressed by what Oregon is doing. The biggest thing that has thrown me for a loop is the fact that nobody can keep pace with the speed. That is the biggest weapon Oregon has. And for the first time, now that you guys got a solid defense going to back you up, it's really, really showing that speed kills. Now, will that be enough against other teams outside of the conference come playoff time? Like, say, we got to go into a boss fight against Texas or against Georgia. But I don't fucking know. But
I'll say this much: you look at the rest of our schedule: at Michigan, at home against Maryland, at Wisconsin, and then Washington. Like, Washington knows how to beat us. The problem is they suck ass this year because everybody fucking left. So I'm not even worried about them. Really, the only team I'd be slightly worried about might be Michigan, maybe Wisconsin, but in reality, we should beat all 4 of them. We should go undefeated. We should finish number 1, and we should be getting one of the 4 bye weeks. Keyword is should. This team cannot.
Indiana may have something to say about that.
I know.
Believe it or not.
This team cannot let its foot off the gas. I swear to God.
You guys have a bad habit of doing that. I'm just saying.
Yes, we do. I know.
Yeah. But
so
that said, we're going to move on now.
We're apparently double-digit favorites in every game. Yeah, Michigan is the big house, but again, like, we should be okay.
Alan, I'm going to put it to you like this because there was something that was brought up in chat that I completely forgot to put on the docket, so we're going to cover it real quick. But before we go, I just want to sum it up by like this.
You froze, man. There you go.
Themselves. It's themselves.
Yeah.
That's the only way you guys stop this season. It's yourselves. I hope that Oregon continues to win out and then chokes in the Big Ten championship to Indiana or Penn State. That would be funny as shit. Now, somebody mentioned this in the chat earlier, and I'm going to highlight it. In the bottom 10 verse, congrats to Kennesaw State. Not only did they get their first FBS win, it was against undefeated Liberty, which happened last Wednesday.
Fucking good.
I'm not going to get into the political side or the whatever side you may call it for why people do not like Liberty, because we're a little close to a big political event, and I'd rather not talk about it in the show.
Yeah.
But
also, the first college football playoff poll comes out literally on election day.
Yeah, we're going to be a nice little distraction for everybody that's going to be freaking out about that. But we're again putting that aside for another day. As for the Owls, I mean, what a fucking game for Kennesaw State. The only team, as Zep says, the only team that remains winless going into week 10 is Kent State, and poor Kent State. But Kennesaw State, you got to remember, these guys last year played like a half-assed FCS schedule. They are currently serving on a probation for transition period. Nobody of worth is fucking playing there. These guys are playing for the love of the game. They know they're not going to be that good. They knew what they signed up for. They play their asses off, and they knock off the Flames and knock off any potential playoff hope that they have. Now, granted, the Flames, they once again have one of the worst schedules in FBS. Likely not going to get in over a team like Boise State or Army or whoever the fuck comes out of the AAC. But seriously, you gotta love that shit, man. Jim can't swim. I'm a KSU student. Got to storm the field. It was a great win and morale boost. Hootie hoo.
That's hilarious.
Oh, that's awesome. So hey, big ups to Kennesaw State for winning that game. You got that's why it's important that we protect these group of 5 schools, because stories like that are just precious.
Exactly.
They're what makes this game great. It's like giving you little appetizers before the big main course on Saturday. You gotta love that shit.
Pretty
that
much.
said, we are currently live during a Tuesday night in October, and I want to say Maction, and I am going to not say Maction because it's not Maction, it's Conference USA.
Okay.
If you want to know, for those of you listening post-mortem, Louisiana Tech 3, Sam Houston 2 at the half.
The fuck? I also saw a tweet
kidding.
that said there was an audible "fuck you" refs that came up during the game. So, yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, FIU and New Mexico State are currently playing 20-13, and then 14-6 Louisiana Raging Cajuns over Texas State at the half. And we are going to continue on. When does Maction begin? Actually, Maction starts next week. That's when it starts. It's next week.
Wow, that's
so Tuesday night Maction begins next week. They wait till towards the end of the season because all the bigger games get those time slots. That's why. All right, now moving on to the main stories of tonight. Vandy dies a pimp against the Horns. Poor Vanderbilt. They did everything they could to beat Texas. It simply just was not enough. They did make a small comeback late in the game, down 24-10 in the third with a couple of touchdown passes by Pavia, but they could not get the onside kick recovered in the final moments of the game and lost 27-24 to Texas. A valiant effort against the Horns.
See, here's my thing. The fact that Texas didn't play pissed off after losing to Georgia, that says more about Texas than it does Vanderbilt, because Vanderbilt can continue to play spoiler no matter what. Like, they're probably going to a bowl game this year, finally. Speaking of which, and this isn't on the docket, but Colorado's going to their first bowl game in several years.
At the expense of Cincinnati, but yes.
Yeah. Vandy and Auburn are playing right now? What? Excuse me? Someone in the chat just said Vandy and Auburn. Oh, it says Vandy and Auburn are tied 21-21 all the time. My bad. Sorry about that.
I was going to say, what the fuck? No. I'm liking that they're off. Yeah, I mean, I did not get a whole lot of college football Saturday. I was out with family, so I was enjoying my time. Yeah. That said, what I did see was kind of mediocre for Texas. Coming after that, sound drudging at the hands of the Bulldogs, you would think that Texas would have had a little more spark. I didn't really – everything I look back and take a look at, did not see that. I mean, Vanderbilt's a tough team to put away this season. That's for sure. We can't just say, well, Texas came out flat. No, Vandy came out to play. It was in Vanderbilt and in the half-built hostile territory that is their stadium.
Yeah.
It's not easy. Just ask Alabama.
Exactly.
They came in prepared. Texas, they probably did come in prepared, and they led the entire game.
Yeah. I mean, Quinn Ewers went 27 for 37, 288, 3 TDs, 2 INTs. I think that's your problem right there. Like, and people were pointing this out after the Georgia game. Ewers is good, but you know what you have in him. And honestly, I don't think he's the top quarterback that people were thinking he was going to be, especially after the Georgia game. He had to get pulled from the Georgia game for freaking Arch Manning, sorry. And it wasn't enough in the grand scheme of things. But also, people were saying about that was that Georgia is just better in the trenches than Texas is. Texas has the same problem that Colorado has, but for two different reasons. You have to get better in the trenches, and that's where Texas got fucked.
See, this is what I don't get about that move that they made against Georgia. We didn't get a chance to really talk about it last week, but this is what I don't get. Why the fuck are you showing any sign of weakness or lack of confidence at your quarterback position, putting in Arch Manning randomly during the game? Were you that desperate to get a spark under the offense desk? I'll tell you right now, they were playing under the brightest lights you could find in the regular season. This was a couple of games from being a 1 versus 2 matchup in the regular season. That's how close it was. And
exactly.
The fact that wasn't enough to spark a performance, I don't care what the fuck the excuse was. Why the hell are you throwing out Arch Manning? If Ewers has it, trust your quarterback. If he doesn't,
well, the problem is that they went down early and just couldn't do that. Yeah, they went down early and they just could not fucking come back at all. And like throwing Arch didn't do much of anything because again, you got fucked in the trenches. Everybody knows Georgia's got big beefy dudes. So Texas will learn. This is their first year in the SEC. They're still going to have a great season. They're still going to make the playoff, barring a massive fall off. And hell, if they lost to Vanderbilt, but
yeah, that would have been bad. That would have been the end of the season right there, I think.
I mean, potentially, but like for Texas, they'll be fine. You know, you got to build through recruiting in the trenches for next year and beyond. But like, I don't know. That was not good at all.
Yeah. Well,
and yeah.
Yeah, well, I would say that in terms of overall performance, Vanderbilt came out looking really good. They'll definitely get their bowl clinching win this Saturday. I think they said they were playing Auburn, so I think Vandy is going to get that done this weekend. And good for the Commodores, man. Like again, this season it's not a national championship season. Obviously, this isn't even an SEC championship. Is the rebirth of the Commodores to a respectable football team for the first time since I was in school. So that just fucking that tells it all for me right there. We are going to move on, and
I will throw this out there though. Texas has this week off. Texas has this week off. Mm-hmm. Then they get right against Florida, Arkansas, Kentucky, A&M. That's what they have left. Manageable schedule. But yeah, I just don't know with Texas right now. Because now I don't want to say they're on fraud watch, but the performance against Georgia and barely beating Vanderbilt, Ewers with 2 interceptions, like, I don't know. This is shaping up to be. Yeah, go ahead.
I call this Texas hungover still. Like they had the big party with Georgia, they got their ass whipped, and then they come out the week after and they just ruggedly just try to get back on track with a win. Barely escaped Nashville alive, but escape they did. And I think they'll right the ship the rest of the season because they don't have really very many difficult opponents, I don't think. I could be wrong.
Well, remember, Kentucky almost upset Georgia. If they can almost upset Georgia and then beat Ole Miss, Kentucky has a shot against Texas, I think.
You're right. Good point. But the Wildcats are on the downturn. And now we move forward to our next topic of conversation for tonight. And I think there's only one word being shouted out across Nittany Land right now. Pribula. Because holy fuck, who the hell is this guy? God damn. Okay, so I caught some of this game Saturday night, and this is what I found out. So Drew Allar, Penn State quarterback, goes down injured, in the second half. This guy comes out of fucking nowhere, Beau Pribula, and lights it up. I mean, lights it up, plays extremely well for filling in as a backup quarterback. Goes 11 of 13 for a touchdown. And I know the stats by themselves aren't that impressive, but the plays this kid was making and the decision, the confidence, the spark, the motivation he had, I don't give a shit who you are. That's scary, man. That a backup quarterback can just come off and be like, yeah, bro, I got you. I'll do the same shit, but maybe even slightly better. It makes you wonder, was Drew Allure a doppelganger the whole time?
I just looked. It looks like Drew Allure will be a game time decision against Ohio State this weekend.
Yeah. Ohio State's got to
So,
prepare to play potentially two different quarterbacks.
yeah, pretty much. I mean, yeah, that's that's pretty much it, really. I mean, they got a late interception to score the W, and so I mean, for Penn State, losing your starting quarterback isn't good, especially right before you play Ohio State. But if your backup can play like that, and considering the way that Will Howard's been playing and the fact that Ohio State almost lost to the Patrick Mahomes cosplayer and son of Lions legendary center Dominic Raiola, oh boy, could this be the year Penn State finally gets over their Buckeye hump?
God,
And
I
if
hope
they
not.
do, and Ohio State goes to 2 L's, you're probably still making the college football playoff, but you might be fucked.
So, I mean, it wasn't like, well, Penn State was leading and then this kid came in and just, padded the stats. They were trailing 10-7 when he came in.
Yeah.
I don't know about y'all. That says a lot. That says a lot about the performance. I mean, the stats don't tell the full story there. Like the overall, the team stepped up and they all played well to get the win. I genuinely do not know who this guy is, where he came from, and how the fuck he did so well. It's insane to think that someone can just walk in and play that way. But we've seen it before. That next man up mentality. We have seen it before plenty of times in college football. Ohio State saw it twice in 2014 when they won the national championship. First, Braxton Miller went down. Then JT Daniels, I think it was. I can't remember his name. I don't think it was JT Daniels. It's somebody else. And then, Cardale Jones comes in after that. And everything just worked out like it did. It's not bad to think that could happen, but like it's crazy. It's just crazy when you in Camp Davis Stadium is not Davis Stadium is not an easy place to play at any point in time, especially at night. Camp Randall Stadium in Wisconsin. It's not an easy place to play at any time when you're a visitor. But that is gotta have some ice in your blood for that shit, man. I swear. So,
Ice in the veins.
Moving on.
Yeah, Zepp's got a point, that's for sure.
Yeah. Zepp, let me see what he said here. Penn State and Pitt are both undefeated right now. I feel like there's a rift in the space-time continuum. Yeah. Pennsylvania is just loaded with football optimism right now. It's not been like this.
The Steelers are somehow good. The Eagles are doing all right. Holy shit.
Now imagine if those two meet in the playoffs. It'd be hell
on earth. God.
It'd be
right now, urinating trees just like, Stephen's going to Super Bowl. And Pitt, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you giving me this optimism? That's the Steelers' job.
Why am I'm overdosing on optimism.
Hopium.
All right. Well,
Mario's got a question.
Meanwhile, someone had a question. Yeah. The Minnesota Golden Gophers are currently 5-3. If they ran the table, other teams fall in the Big Ten. Can Minnesota make the college football playoff?
I doubt it.
No. There's too much in the way. Too many good teams. Too many teams with more than. Here's the thing. If they would keep out a 2-loss Alabama for the sake of Indiana, if Indiana were to lose 1 or 2 games, or if they were to keep, I mean, you got to think about it like this. You would have to have so much fall apart that 2007 would look like a fucking cupcake compared to this. It's just not going to happen. I would love to see the Golden Gophers make a golden drive for a golden title, but it's just not in the cards this year. You've lost 3 games. Those 3 losses are way worse than any losses that of anybody in the top 12. Yeah, you beat USC, but so is everybody else. So I don't know what else to say there. I'm sorry to say it, but they're not making it in.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh football is good right now, much to the chagrin of the anti-Yinzers. Red will drive to Pittsburgh if that happens. I will not do that again. I will not do that again. Fuck that. It was not worth the Permantes.
Yeah, but Russell Wilson has a new sandwich named after him. Again.
I heard about that, and if I end up actually doing it, it would be for the kids. But I'm not doing that right now. That's gas money, man. Times are tough.
Yeah, I know.
If I get $80 if I get $100 in donations to put in my gas tank, I might do it.
Watch, now Dumb Gamers is going to hear that and do that.
No, that's not a challenge. That is not a challenge. That is not a challenge.
Say his name and he appears.
I didn't say you did, motherfucker. You did. Doesn't work like that. I don't just say somebody's name and then poof, $100. That's not how it works. If I could make money just appear out of nowhere, I would make inflation look like a fucking joke. So let's move on.
No, I can appreciate having money pop up out of nowhere now. Anyway, moving on.
All right. The Aggies tame LSU on Saturday night. Yeah. Marcel Reed is the new king of football in College Station. That is for sure. When Elko pulled over, Wegman is going to is no longer the king. It is the Marcel Reed show. Now, the good news for Wegman is, now they're going to be probably going with Marcel Reed for the better part of the next 2 years. But I mean, you can't be mad. Like, the dude just absolutely went the fuck off. He went 2 for 2. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, it didn't like go the fuck off, but like he came into the game and he just fucking tore it up, man. Texas A&M absolutely 100% destroys LSU's hopes and dreams. They're definitely not making the playoff at this point. I do not know how else to describe this comeback by the Aggies except pretty miraculous, honestly, because they're now leading they're now among the top of the table in the SEC.
That's crazy.
First time, I think, ever.
Yeah, Ag said at the top of the show he might be hiking, but he might slide in later. So hopefully we can get his thoughts and opinions on that. But yeah, no, LSU, you're done. Goodbye. Pack it up. You're washed. And as for the Aggies, congratulations. I mean, I feel like for the Aggies, their biggest test remaining will probably be that game against Texas. If they can knock off the Longhorns.
They're in the SEC title game. It's going to be for a spot in the SEC title game for sure.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
Oof. Also, the Aggies have to travel to South Carolina to play a night game. If any team can play spoiler, you're not wrong. It's not going to be an easy road for A&M the rest of the way. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, they have South Carolina, New Mexico State, Auburn, and Texas. Texas, unless the Gamecocks can pull something off,
the Longhorn shootout could be the deciding factor for at least one of the teams going to Atlanta.
Yeah.
Could be. I'm not saying it will be. Georgia's probably going to be the first one in. Tennessee's got a case. A&M now definitely has a case. Texas definitely has a case. Right? It's really a 4-horse race for the finish right now in the SEC. I'm not surprised that LSU fell apart like they did, We saw it early in the season when they were playing USC in Vegas at a neutral site game. Nussmeier kind of crumbled a little bit. The LSU offense couldn't quite get itself together and get going consistently. They have lapses throughout the season of when they are playing really good, and then they're playing kind of mid, and then they play better, and then they regress, and they kind of almost lose to South Carolina, and then they blow out the other guy, and it just goes back and forth, and it makes you want to vomit.
Well, in Georgia's case, they have Florida, Ole Miss, Tennessee, UMass, and Georgia Tech left to play. Meanwhile,
so there's to lose.
Yeah, pretty much. Ole Miss. Oh, it's really if they lose to like Ole Miss or Tennessee. And then in Tennessee's case, they have Kentucky, Mississippi State, Georgia, UTEP, and Vanderbilt. So if Vanderbilt's gonna spoil somebody again, Dennis. Then again, if Tennessee loses to Georgia, it won't fucking matter. So yeah, there you go, Mats.
Yeah. Gabriel.
Electro, yeah. How the fuck is Oklahoma playing Maine?
Welcome to SEC scheduling bullshit.
Yeah, apparently they need their get right games, so we're gonna go beat up a bunch of black bears. Good luck with that.
I'm gonna go fight a bear.
Damn, if only Akbar was here.
Oh god, it's a bear.
If only Akbar was here.
Oh god, I don't even know if Akbar would feel good about the game against Maine. Are you kidding me?
Oh god, no. Yeah.
For those of you that don't know, Akbar, poor bastard's a Sooner, and like Saturday, I remember watching some of the chat in our little Discord channel, and it was like, it literally just his chat messages summed up in "It's over, it's so over." Oh god, it's never been more over. Atomic levels of over. Like he was so depressed.
Yeah, it's the urinating tree version of that meme to replace the political version of that meme. So yeah, because New Hampshire was real. Fuck you, Bill. Unironically, I think New Hampshire could beat Oklahoma. I think our New Hampshire Wildcats could probably beat Oklahoma. Hot take. Yeah.
So
probably.
yeah, the last two lost team was LSU in 2007. That's obviously 2007. Come on, that was was a shit show.
Yeah.
I think right now as it stands, as crazy as it is to say, despite Georgia still being the top team in the SEC. I don't believe in them right now, man. I think A&M in Texas, just because Georgia is incredibly
Carson Beck has to prove that he's not a fraud.
Incredibly finicky.
Yeah. Carson has to prove he's not a fraud.
I don't buy any of these teams as much as I should. I want to say A&M and I want to say Texas have the best chance of winning the SEC, but I also do know that Texas just lost to Georgia. A&M lost to Notre Dame. There's no clear-cut option right now. And don't you fucking dare try to say Tennessee. They lost to Woo Pig Sooie on the road. So they beat Alabama. Everybody's beat Alabama this year.
Yeah, that would be funny though if everyone in front of Alabama collapses and they're just like, "I'm back, bitches," and then they fucking go to the SEC title game against one of these other teams. They get their shit stomped, or they win it. Fucking Jalen Milroe makes a last-second attempt at the Heisman. Fucking Christ!
Yeah, no, it's.
Can Penn State win the national championship? If that fucking happens, then hell is frozen over. Because what the fuck has Jay Franklin done to prove that
I don't know if Happy Valley would know what to do with themselves, honestly. Like, I don't know what to do with my hands. Let's try it like we did in 2011.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyway.
Also,
for Texas A&M, just so we were clear, Grant Nussmeier threw 3 fucking interceptions, and you had a 17-7 lead when the QB change happened. So, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, LSU's cooked. Brian Kelly needs to find a new team coach. This is not working out for them like they wanted to. That's for sure. I need to make a whole video breaking down the crazy career of Brian Kelly at some point because this is it's laughable.
Aren't you like partially doing that with the Notre Dame video?
Partially, but not entirely. There's a lot more to it than that. But speaking of, hey gamers, yo, how you doing? We're moving on. So speaking of
Harvey says, Alan, watch out. NDSU plays Oregon in 2028, and now pandemic can push it back any further. They were supposed to play in 2020. Point is, there's an FBS upset coming.
Yeah, they're trying.
All I'm gonna say to that is this: bring it on, bitch.
Okay.
Meet us at the pond. We fight at dawn. If your bison can walk on water.
We're moving on because speaking of comedy, fuck this game. SMU. Stop.
What a transition.
Oh my god. SMU. Holy fucking shit. Okay. For those of you that have been living under a rock, you missed the absolute dumpster fire that was on the ACC network on Saturday night. SMU.
All right, give it, Billy. Shut up.
6. Do not Vol. Do not. He doesn't have the money anyway. Don't pressure. Don't ask him to do that. That's rude. He's trying to ask him to give me $500
for a trip to Pittsburgh. Jesus.
He needs to save his money. He needs to save his money. Something about a Pittsburgh trip. Don't worry about it, gamers. Don't do it. So anyway, SMU turns the ball over 6 fucking times against Duke and somehow wins the game in overtime by a point after Duke tried to go for 2 and failed.
And this is a Duke team that was just undefeated a couple weeks ago. Yeah, on top of that.
Yeah. I mean, Duke had a baby soft schedule to start. So there's that.
Dumb Gamer said, "Can I get the Dangerous?" Well,
we're not doing it. We're not doing it. We're not doing it, guys. No. So SMU. Jennings is not that bad of a quarterback for SMU. Gabriel, don't encourage him. Stop fucking asking for. I don't need your goddamn money. Now, SMU. I'm trying to stay on topic because this was a really insane game and I really want to talk about it. I thought about making a whole ass video on it and I still might, but I also want to finish the Notre Dame roast. But the whole fucking game was like watching an acid trip. First drive, SMU gets down inside the 5-yard line, coughs up the ball. It happens. It's football. Shit like that happens. Another fumble. Interception, fumble, interception, fumble. I don't have the words to describe to you how much this hurt my brain trying to process this game. As a football player for 13 years, for 13 years.
Oh shit, we got the dog. Oh yeah, gamers.
I think I froze for a second.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah. I will only do the Doak Burns voice for a moment. As a football player for 13 years, I have never seen such bullshit in my life. I have never seen such bullshit in my life. The ineptitude of the SMU Mustangs was embarrassing to see. Almost as embarrassing as Alan's collection of questionable things on his computer.
First of all, no. Second of all, fuck you. Third of all, or use that joke for someone like Helv or Tree or 5 Points. Not, or Billy. Not me. Damn it.
Buddy, you're right there. You were gonna take it whether you wanted to or not. I'm sorry to tell you.
Suck
You
it.
beat my team the other week. I don't want to fucking hear it.
Yeah, fucking deal with it.
Yeah, and you know what? That means I'm gonna give you more shit. So shut the fuck up.
No, I'm allowed to give you shit.
No, I'm
Until
allowed
you
to give
beat
you
Oregon,
shit.
you can't give me shit.
Fuck off. So
Go get the Everclear, bitch.
fuck no, I'm not waking up in a frat party basement at 4 a.m. again in my life. I'm not doing that shit again. They're not gonna drag my drunken fat ass out of a fraternity basement at 4 a.m. at 19 years old across the entire goddamn Wilmington College campus, sneak me past the RAs and get my ass into bed, where I wake up 5 hours later and hungoverly, drunkenly stumble into the cafeteria looking for waffles. We're not going back. It's not happening again. TMI. Ooh, boy, I got some college stories, but that's gonna be for another day. So,
Oh my god.
Again, we're still talking about football, I promise.
Oh my
The
god.
long and the short of it is this. The game can be summed up in two things. One, SMU is a lucky football team to even have a chance to still come out and somehow win that game. Because the second thing I should say, Duke could not capitalize on any of the turnovers. I saw maybe one touchdown be scored after a turnover, and that was it. I don't know what the fuck happened to Duke's offense. They showed more against Florida State, a team that has literally been dead since they arrived back on the American coast from Ireland, than they did against the SMU Mustangs.
Yeah. There's an AP article where SMU's coach Rhett Lashley said, "We should have lost that game 5 different times late. We should have. And if we played it 100 times, we're probably losing 99 of them the way the game unfolded. This just happened to be the one time. Our guys just kept playing, kept fighting." Meanwhile, there's a Duke quote in here somewhere. Where the fuck are you?
I would hope so.
While
you're doing that.
Oh yeah, here we go. Duke coaches Manny Diaz said, "If you've got a chance to win the game with the first thing, you do it." And we had missed 3 straight kicks. They forced an incompletion on a potential 2-point conversion to seal the win. A 5th straight win for SMU. Duke never turned the ball over. Their quarterback Malik Murphy goes 27 to 40 for 295 and 3 TDs. Star Thomas ran for 65 yards and a touchdown. Duke capped off a 10-play, 64-yard drive with Thomas muscling his way into the end zone for a touchdown with 9 minutes left to play in the 4th. And then Jennings fumbled on a 2nd and 6 scramble.
Yeah, I mean, the fact of the matter is this. It all came down after a bunch of non-offense all game long. It finally came down to a field goal attempt that was blocked, which sent the game to overtime. Both teams scored touchdowns really quick, but then Duke decided, you know what, we're not going to wait for SMU to step on their own brakes. We're going to do it ourselves and just fucking off themselves with an awful call for a 2-point conversion. So,
yeah, I mean, and again, you want to talk awful 2-point conversions, just look at the Giants game from last night.
But with that said, no, we're not doing
that. Oh, Gabriel, yes. If I want Oregon to win the national championship, It's basically like the fucking tree curse or the Brett Coleman curse or something like that, just in reverse. Because like whenever one of the two of them makes a video about somebody,
Oh no.
as Brian
Oh
Dable has
no.
come over from the
Oh
dumpster
no.
fire chat to come
Oh
here.
no. Oh no. Brian Dabble. Someone say awful 2-point conversions.
Go back to the dumpster fire chat, dumbass. But anyway, it's basically the reverse Coleman or the reverse Tree because Coleman or Tree make a video on someone or a team, and usually, they start to fall off or something like that. And if this works out, where Red's video makes it so that Oregon fucking wins the national title, no, Billy, if a not if a not power, top 5 conference team was gonna win, give it to Boise State and fucking Ashton Genty, who should be the Heisman.
All right.
I
All
like
right.
Travis Hunter, but Genty should be the Heisman. He's a shorter, lighter version of Derrick Henry.
Okay.
Do not at me.
Okay, we're moving on now because I stumbled all the way through that SMU bit and I need to move on.
Yeah.
8
fucking
Indiana.
me.
Indiana is 8-0. Some fucking
Brian
hell.
Dable, 500 on Red.
Sir, this is a family-friendly live
Establishment.
stream. We do not condone gambling in here. Please keep your money. I don't need you to send anything to me. And if you send me $500, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do with myself, so let's not. Yeah, that is 8-win Indiana. Indiana came out on Saturday, continues to dominate and play extremely well. They played with a backup quarterback, for fuck's sake, and still looked great.
Yeah. And that's why I'm not really worried about Washington, because that's the team whose ass they kicked. So
yeah, it was.
Yeah.
If I was I'm going to actually be at the Ohio State versus Indiana game on the 22nd. By the way, if you see me, if you see me and you're at the game, don't be afraid to come up and say hi. But if Ohio State loses to Indiana, number one, my girlfriend's never going to let me live it down. And number two, I do not know if I'm going to be able to survive the night because we are not prepared for undefeated Indiana in football.
You weren't prepared for Nebraska, who just got throttled by Colorado. Okay?
Yeah, I know. We all are wrong in our own ways about things sometimes, but yeah, I don't think that Indiana is going to win the Big Ten. Still, I still think that Oregon is at this point the most likely candidate to win.
Yeah,
it's a wide open conference right now, though, with Penn State, Indiana making good claims. Ohio State could still sneak in, barring some crazy shit happening.
Barring, they beat Penn State.
Yeah, if Ohio State beats Penn State, I mean, it's back on between those two in Indianapolis, I think. But Indiana is going to cause a lot of problems if they win their games late down the stretch. I mean, they got some big ends that coming up there. It's going to be tough. So.
Gamers, if Indiana wins the Big Ten, I'm joining the sickos. And then Billy with the bullshit.
Nope. And finally, like I said, there was a pretty quiet week, so we didn't have a whole lot to go through. Week 10 preview, and there are 2 games on the docket this weekend.
Hold on. You forgot Notre Dame and Navy. But also, I'd like to point out, Indiana is leading the Big Ten with 487.6 yards per game. About a full 15 or 16 yards above your Buckeyes, and a full 20.5 yards above my Ducks. Holy shit.
We should all be scared of Indiana at this point.
Yes.
We should all be scared of Indiana. Anyway, thank you for the reminder on this.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we'll get to Notre Dame in a second, but sticking with the Big Ten for a moment, I want to say there was a thing that apparently happened at the end of Michigan State. Apparently, student athletes from both teams were on the ground surrounded by so many individuals that both players were completely obscured from view. The video review was inconclusive as to whether individual discipline was appropriate for anyone in the immediate vicinity of the two players who were on the ground. While the confrontation was a disappointing conclusion of the contest, the conference appreciates the efforts made by staff from both teams, security personnel, and game officials to rapidly de-escalate the incident, as well as the responses by both head coaches, and no further action will be taken. Mind you, this is Michigan and Michigan State, who both got in trouble for fucking fighting in the goddamn tunnel. Well, Michigan State got in trouble for fighting Michigan in the goddamn tunnel not that long ago. So there is plenty of bad blood between these in-state rivals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I chalk this up as a simple matter of they couldn't prove anybody did anything with beyond a reasonable doubt. When you look back at the security footage and the camera footage of the incident, it looks like a bunch of people just moshing in the middle. You can't make out anything clearly, specifically, so no need to push it any further. They're not playing each other again this year, so just let it go. It's two rivals. Yeah. What do you expect? Shit's always going to get heated. Michigan, if they were wise, would have put a different tunnel in their stadium many years ago, but they have not. So,
yeah, pretty much.
As Alan reminded me, Notre Dame and unfortunately sunk the United States Navy by a lot to a little Saturday. I just wanted to briefly touch on this and say, big ups to the Navy. Like, seriously, big ups to them. This is the first time they've been genuinely good in my lifetime. It's the first time since the 70s they started out, going 7-0 to begin the season. Sucks that they lost. I was really rooting for Notre Dame to get, shocked and knocked off. But obviously, it's the service academies. They're not at the same level of competition as the rest of college football, and rightfully so. Their first and main job is to protect the nation, and that's fine. So that's why I say cherish the fact that Army is the only undefeated service academy left at this point. Cherish the fact that Navy and Army, when they play at the end of the season, is going to be absolutely epic. And also the fact that these
Air Force ain't shit.
Yeah, and also because the fact that these two might actually play each other back-to-back weeks thanks to a weird quirk when it comes to conference scheduling and the Army-Navy game, because they could still fight each other for the AAC title and then play each other again a week later.
That is fucking wild.
That is wild, right? Like, that would be so awesome to see. Someone's got to host the home game for the playoff, and then they got to go to Philadelphia and duke it out for real. Like different stakes.
Yeah.
This is why I'm just going to say this right now. They got to fix that optional, we're just going to make the playoffs before Army, Navy play each other. No, you're going to need to figure this out because the service academies occasionally are going to be good, and it's going to fuck a lot of shit up for a lot of teams if you let one of them in and they lose the following week and still have to go play in the playoffs. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's not a good idea. Like, any time in college football history when you say, fuck it, let's just leave it, it's not going to matter, it will matter real quick before you know it.
Yeah.
Anyway. So, it sucks that Notre Dame had to win. But it's great that Navy is doing so well this year. And I dare say, who the fuck knows? Maybe they'll be good next year, too.
Billy says it's Landover this year. Not Philly.
Fucking bullshit.
Yeah. All right. Now we can move on.
That Snyder ruined. All right. Now we move on to week 10. There are two games week 10 that are worth discussion right now. And both of them, one of them, not that surprising that it's a big deal. The other, very surprising that's a big deal. On Saturday, big noon on Fox. We will cover that game live here on this channel. And I'll be doing commentary and play-by-play for that. It's going to be a tight one. It's going to be a big environment. If I remember correctly, that game is going to be a road game for Ohio State. Let me double check. And fuck me. Yes, it is. So that means I'm going to die. I am fucking fucked. Ohio's, I mean, I guess it's a good thing it's not a night game at least, but man, that's going to be tough. Couple of other minor games to note. We got Duke and Miami. Air Force and Army taking on the first leg of the Commanders in Chief Trophy. What else?
Florida,
Oregon plays
Florida,
Michigan.
Georgia, Tennessee,
Florida,
Kentucky,
Georgia.
Clemson, Louisville, Iowa State, Texas Tech. Which Texas Tech's quarterback looked strong in practice and apparently is expected to start, but he didn't play the last half of last week's game against TCU with a shoulder injury. Indiana takes on Michigan State. Stanford, North Carolina State, but who really cares? Virginia Tech, Syracuse.
The big boys this weekend. First off, Kentucky and Tennessee. Tennessee's got to be careful. And then second, Zepp mentioned it again, A&M, South Carolina, and Bryce Williams. That's going to be a tough one. But the only other top 25 versus top 25 matchup this weekend, Pittsburgh goes to Dallas to play SMU. And that is going to be a huge game for down ballot playoff implications. Because you got to remember, right now in the ACC, you got a little bit of a mixed bag. It's not really clear cut. Miami, they're probably going to end up in Charlotte, sure. But after Miami, you got Clemson, SMU, and Pittsburgh as the only undefeated teams left in the ACC for conference play. Pittsburgh or SMU did lose one game earlier in the season to BYU. As it stands, and only because of the fact that they have played one more conference game than the rest of the league, Clemson's currently has the top spot in conference. Miami's behind them because Clemson's 5-0, Miami's 4-0. SMU is at 4-0 as well. Pittsburgh is 3-0. So, if you ask me, this is going to go a long way to kind of clear up any sort of murkiness we still have in the playoff picture. Clemson and Miami do not play each other. Miami and SMU do not play each other. Clemson and SMU do not play each other. So this is a big fucking game to help decipher who's going to Charlotte to play for the ACC championship. I'm going to be very focused on this game. I think it's not given enough justice because it's been slotted on the ACC network while fucking A&M South Carolina gets Saturday night on ABC. It's a bigger one, but that's just me.
Yeah.
So those are your games for this weekend. And the last thing to note, playoff poll drops next Tuesday night. Thank God we are going to be live Tuesday night, on November 5th, to cover the polls, of course. The playoff poll, the first college football playoff poll will drop on Tuesday at 7. We will go live at our normal start time at 9:30, and we will be breaking down not only the college football playoff poll, but also any big stuff that happened over the weekend as we get started to rev up the final month of regular season play for college football. Kind of flown by a little bit this year, hasn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So if you guys need a distraction from the election and you don't want to follow it, please join us, and we will be a necessary distraction for an hour and a half while the country
maybe more.
burns.
Maybe more. We'll see.
As needed.
We'll go as long as we have to. I mean, depending on what the fuck happens this weekend. But yeah, no, just come have fun with us and try to avoid the brain rot of the politics.
Yeah.
As best you can.
So, once again, I want to say thank you to Alan for joining me tonight. Hopefully, Akbar, we will see him again Friday. Couple of channel notes. First off, again, go follow Alan if you haven't already. Hold on. There it is. Follow this guy on YouTube. Second, Friday night, we are going to be doing a watch party once again with Akbar as we go through and watch some of the SEC shorts from this past season. It'll be a fun, chill stream where we just fucking fuck around for an hour and a half and watch some funny videos from SEC shorts and just kick back and relax for an hour or so. Considering what we have coming up, might be needed for some people. And then Saturday at noon, we are going to be doing the live stream of Penn State against Ohio State here on the channel, which I will cover. And I am hopefully at some point between tonight and Friday going to upload the Notre Dame roast. It is about there. It is about 50% done. I'm actually on vacation a few days, so while I'm at home, I'm going to be spending a lot of time working on that. I'm hopeful to get that out this week. And then the last piece of business is the long-awaited Part 3 of the National Championship History Series is going to begin final production at the conclusion of the production of the Notre Dame video. Some people have messaged about why it's taken so long. I've said it at length a few times already, but the TLDR version, it's going to be a long son of a bitch. It's going to be a 3-hour video. I might break it up into multiple parts just to save my phone for the most part.
Yeah.
That's what I make it on. But
cinema.
Yeah, it's going to be actual cinema. And I will be working on that pretty consistently for the better part of a month and a half to do final production on it, if I'm lucky. The goal is to have it out in December.
Yeah.
The goal
you
is
just have
December.
to hope that no bullshit happens that makes you have to, aside from as the dope burns,
The videos, live streams will continue as the dope burns will finish up, but everything else is kind of going to get pushed to the side. So that way I can focus on that once I begin final production. It's kind of becoming a little bit of a joke on this channel about, when's Red going to make that fucking part 3 of the video? It's finally going to be finishing up. I am finally going to work on it. It's going to take a while to do, but I'm going to dedicate a few weeks, the better part of a month and a half to try to get this sucker done. In the meantime, the hope is that I'm also able to get out bowl game preview, conference championship preview, some other shit. Maybe do a live stream like what Matt's did over here. Another live stream gameplay of old NCAA games. That was a lot of fun when we did that the other night. We're probably going to do that more often, especially as we head towards the end of the season. And then the hope is that once we finish the national championship video finally, I will be able to have rid of this monkey on my back and get back to making other long-form content a little more consistently. And instead of trying to make 3 videos at once. So kind of what I've been doing. So thank you for your patience. It's much appreciated. We're finally going to get it done. I'm going to finish one video this week. Going to start my coup de grace, I guess you could say, my magnum opus, hopefully. Hopefully it's going to be bigger and better and badder and more fucked than anything else you've seen. Hopefully it's not 3 hours of wasted time, but I don't think it will.
It won't be, I promise.
All right. Well, that's it for tonight. I appreciate everybody stopping by. As always, share the stream, subscribe to the channel, show a little love, and I will see you all very, very soon. You have a good night now.
I have to go.